Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Barbados' finance minister assures there's no devaluation on the cards. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Monday, February 27. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. Barbados' Finance Minister Chris Sinclair gives another reassurance that the dollar is not in danger of devaluation. Sinclair's statement on Monday came as growing concerns about the state of the economy. He acknowledged that the foreign reserve levels have fallen below the 12-week global standard threshold. But he told a news conference Monday afternoon that this is not the first time in the island's history that this has happened.
We previously operated this economy, I should say, successfully with lower levels of reserves. In 1998, 9.1 weeks, and in 1999, 9.9 weeks worth of imports. In neither of these instances, there was never a question of any government of the day would countenance any decision to adjust the value of our currency. Similarly, it is not a scenario that this administration will permit to happen under its watch. Following a relatively stable foreign exchange market position in 2014 and a greater part of 2015, we started to notice some slippages in reserve levels in 2016 in particular. This was even though the difference of inflows against outflows of foreign exchange in the market over the previous year remained greatly imbalanced, or generally imbalanced.
Sinclair said the government is implementing short-term measures this year to ensure foreign reserves are maintained at sustainable levels.
I have issued new guidelines to all investors and developers seeking tax waiver support for investment projects in Barbados, that effective from this month, in order for such concessions to be given and sustained, at least 1/3 of all foreign exchange brought on island must be sold to the central bank directly. Further, that on completion of the project, any foreign sales generated from units within those developments and for which concessions are attached, no less than 50% of the sale proceeds must be brought on shore, and half of this must be sold to the Central Bank of Barbados.
Bahamas to allay fears of currency devaluation. Governor of the Bahamas Central Bank, John Roll, addressed the issue during a recent conference at the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce in the press to present the State of the Economy report. The Bahamian dollar is equal to the US dollar, and Roll says that will not change anytime soon as the bank consistently monitors its reserves. In its January report, the bank said preliminary reports suggest that economic growth for the month was soft, but there was an increase in the bank's liquidity and external reserves.
Things that the central bank has always done is monitor the level of the reserves on a monthly and annual basis relative to the amount of imports that are coming into the country, as well as relative to the size of the central bank's own balance sheet. And as long as the reserves continue within a comfortable level, the central bank allows the average Bahamian certain flexibilities in terms of how easy it is for them to borrow from commercial banks. So we typically focus on how we can manage private sector credit in order to manage the amount of foreign exchange that are flowing through the economy and how much of those foreign exchange end up in the reserves.
A 9-member commission has been created by Haiti's newly appointed president to probe prisons and overcrowded lockups across the country. President Jovenel Moïse says the commission, which will also make recommendations to improve conditions for the inmates, is expected to submit a report within a month. The presidential announcement came a few days after the Associated Press published a report on an upsurge of inmate deaths, including 21 at the country's biggest prison last month. Deaths are due in large part to malnutrition-related illnesses and other preventable diseases. Moïse promised that under his presidency, the Haitian nation will not ignore what seems to be a flagrant violation. Last year, 53 people died in detention. 3 CARICOM countries have been criticized by the Amnesty International over their human rights practices. In its 2017 State of the World's Human Rights Report, the London-based organization highlighted human rights abuses in Haiti, Jamaica, and the Bahamas. The report said that in the Bahamas, there was widespread ill treatment of undocumented migrants from countries including Haiti and Cuba. In Jamaica, Amnesty International said impunity prevailed for the decades-long pattern of alleged unlawful killings and extrajudicial executions by law enforcement officials. It added that Jamaica continues to have one of the highest homicide rates in the Americas. It also noted that gender-based violence, as well as violence against lesbians, gays, bisexuals, transgender and intersex individuals and other hate crimes continued to occur despite the enactment of legislation. It added that children continued to be detained in violation of international standards and lamented that despite committing to the establishment of a national human rights institution, Jamaica had not established the mechanism by the end of last year. The human rights group noted that in Haiti, no progress was made in the investigation into alleged crimes against humanity committed by former President Jean-Claude Duvalier and his collaborators. Too little, too late. That's the reaction of Dominica's main opposition United Workers' Party, the UWP, to changes to the government's policy on diplomatic appointments. The UWP has been calling on Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit to resign over his handling of the country's citizenship by investment program and issuing of diplomatic passports, particularly since several people who were appointed diplomats found themselves in trouble with the law. They include a Chinese billionaire, a former Nigerian minister, and most recently Iranian, that's Alireza Monfarid. In an address to the nation last Friday evening, Skerrit revealed a new policy that will guide the government in appointing diplomats in the future. But Linton says it still falls short.
There's absolutely no mention of the transparency factor we have been talking about, which would require the government to disclose on a regular basis the holders of the names of the holders of diplomatic passports in Dominica. That would require the government to tell us who our diplomats are, who is representing us overseas. And I found that to be a startling omission.
The Guyana Labor Union is appealing to government to roll back its new value-added tax measures. It says the introduction of VAT on education and other areas is hurting the working class. One of the country's private schools is also speaking out. We get more in this report from Royden James of HGP TV.
The Guyana Labor Union says it is deeply concerned about these measures, saying that its more than 1,000 members are already complaining. This is according to General Secretary of the union, Carville Duncan.
But I think the strain is too much on the workers. It has invaded their real wages.
Mr. Duncan said while the reduction of VAT from 16% to 14% is commendable, it is unfair for the government to try to balance their budget by taking back that 2% on other items. Mr. Duncan advised to the government is to find other alternatives to raise revenue other than putting the pressure on the working class. Meanwhile, the School of the Nations submitted a petition with 13,500 signatures to the government on Friday, appealing for the abolition of the 14% VAT on the cost of private school education. The School of the Nations pointed out that a great majority of students attending the private educational institutions in Guyana are from humble backgrounds and can only attend these places of learning as a result of the sacrifice on the part of their family members. It added that in a number of cases, These same students may now be forced out of these schools because of the additional 14% tax.
Guyana and Venezuela are getting some more help from the international community to reach a settlement in their border row. The United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Monday appointed a new envoy to resolve the dispute between the two countries. Guterres says he is ready to turn to the International Court of Justice to settle the issue. Caracas has laid claim to waters off the Essequibo, a disputed territory that borders Venezuela and encompasses more than half of Guyana. The dispute, which dates back to the early 19th century, began heating up in 2015 after a significant oil find was announced in an offshore concession granted by Guyana, but Venezuela claims it is in disputed waters. UN spokesman Stephen Dujarric says Dag Halov Nylander of Norway has been appointed until the end of 2017 to help broker a settlement. The UN Secretary General said if no progress is made toward an agreement by the end of the year, he will choose the International Court of Justice as the next means of reaching a settlement. And still to come in Caribbean Newsline, concern about job losses in the region as Digicel announces a 25% cut in its global workforce. Stay with us. There's more news after this break.
Come play at the 50th edition of Antigua Sailing Week. Not a sailor? Not a problem. Chase the race from the best beach locations and party in the ocean. On our beaches, a different one each day. Take a drink, take another. Hula, play, dance in the sand. Dance to reggae, to soca, to the beat of your own drum under the moonlight. 7 beach days and party nights. Come play at the 50th edition of Antigua Sailing Week. April 29th to May 7th, 2017. Are you up for the challenge?
Straight out of the bodacious and beautiful culture of the Caribbean comes a music and talent competition like no other. Brace yourself for the exciting, entertaining, extraordinary, and new reality docuseries, Icon of the Islands. The story begins in the breathtaking backdrop of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Every year, this is where a wide and diverse range of contestants of all ages and backgrounds audition for a wildly popular and prominent local talent competition. And the ultimate goal for each contestant is to win.
I already have my favorites, but my favorites may not prevail tonight.
Some moments will bring performers to their knees, while some performances will bring fans to their feet. Get ready to see which star will be the last one shining in the spotlight as the stars align this season on Icon of the Islands.
There are worries across the Caribbean as Digicel gets ready to cut jobs in a bid to cut its rising debt. The telecommunications company says it will reduce its global workforce by 25% over the next 18 months. The cuts are expected to begin on Wednesday, affecting the company's 6,500 full-time employees, plus contractors and part-time workers in the Caribbean, Central America, and in the Pacific. Digicel reported a 6% drop in revenue for September to December 2016 and said its debt had reached more than $6 billion. It blamed declining profits on currency weaknesses across several of its major markets, including Jamaica and Haiti. The company said it would embark on a complete overhaul of its organizational structure that will entail moving office functions scattered around its various markets to 4 regional hubs. The announcement triggered a response from Trinidad and Tobago's Public Administration and Community Minister Maxie Cuffy, who says he will be meeting with Digicel officials to discuss the implications for the Twin Island Republic. Secretary General of the Communication Workers Union, Joseph Remy, says Digicel workers were being made the scapegoat for management's poor decision to rack up billions of dollars in debt. The Cayman Islands Police Force is set to launch a multi-agency child protection hub The island has recorded a 15% increase in overall crime in 2016 when compared to the previous year, and 48 sex crimes involved minors. The most common crime is indecent assault, accounting for 25 of the 48 incidents, and 13 to 16-year-olds are the most common victims. Police Commissioner David Byrne said the Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub, or MASH, will help coordinate child protection efforts in Cayman. Joe Avery of Cayman 27 News tells us more.
This is a very progressive step forward in terms of looking at how we deal with child protection.
Police Commissioner Derek Byrne says the Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub, or MASH, will help coordinate child protection efforts in Cayman.
It's joint decision making so that it's quick time, real-time exchange of information with the focus on the child protection issues.
As of this week, representatives from police, the Family Support Unit, the Department of Child and Family Services, and the Health Services Authority are moving into accommodations at Anderson Square to begin work as the MASH unit.
So previously, a complaint would be made to either the Child Protection Services or to the RCIPS, and eventually we would get around to having a joint conference. Now it comes into a central referral unit, and we're all on site in the one suite, dealing with the complaint, making the best decision in the quickest possible time. That's the concept of the MASH.
Commissioner Byrne, in his 16th week on the job, stressed child protection as a police priority.
So can I assure the communities that child protection is at the top of the agenda for RCIPS.
In January, 3 child protection experts from the UK were contracted to review the Family Support Unit and expedite any outstanding cases.
And we are delivering training to have a fit-for-purpose section to deal with child protection.
He says the MASH concept has worked well in other jurisdictions to ensure children who need protection receive it.
And I think we're making the right steps, going in the right direction.
6 Caribbean countries are celebrating their carnivals this week with colorful cultural displays, calypso shows, pageantry and festivity. In Trinidad and Tobago, Petite Martinique, Dominica, Haiti, Guadeloupe and Martinique, masqueraders take to the streets in costumes depicting a wide variety of themes. In all this, the children are not being left out. And in this week's special report from our partners at France Caribbean Broadcast, we get a glimpse of the children's carnival in Martinique.
The Carnival of the Children is the appointment of each year. The Carnival of the Children is always magnificent. Here, the Carnival of the Children of Fort-de-France. Everyone in the street gathered to run, papillon voler. Finally, all the success of the carnival have been picked up by the children. It's above all their carnival, and they have made a duty of good represented. How famous the night? We have fun, it's good.
On s'amuse bien et c'est bien. Vous êtes content? Oui, on est très content. Ça se passe très bien.
Everything is all right. People, what are they telling you? That I'm wonderful. And what is your dress? Tropical flowers. Colors, smiles, joy. Indeed, all there is good in this carnival Timomai. Almost all the schools played the game. There were nearly 2,500 school children in the streets. It's great. I'm not used to carnival, but there I'm with the children. It's going well. It's great to see all these kids. It's great. I left work to come and see the children parading. It's magnificent because the subject is a sustainable development. We like, every year we work and then we come to watch the children at the same time, but there we go back to work. So that's the Carnival of the Children of Fort-de-France. As for Cayenne in French Guiana, it's also the little ones who are the head of the Great Parade. They are not genuine carnival groups, but camps of holiday that have organized their own parade.
And we thank our partners at France Carré Broadcast for this week's submission and encourage you to join us every Monday for news from the French West Indies. And ahead in Newsline Sport, the Cricket West Indies president says he has the full support of cricket boards across the region. Stay with us. Sport is next.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the colour of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
Welcome to SwiftPack, your online shopping and shipping solution. Receive the best rates, expert cargo management, and exceptional customer service. SwiftPack provides secure handling of your smallest packages to your largest cargo with speed and reliability. We invite you to use our US mailbox service, online shopping, ship air and ocean cargo from the supplier to your door. We handle it all for you. Get started now. Sign up for a free regular account or premium account, or give us a call on 440-6100. SwiftPack. You shop, we ship, you save.
As he continues another term at the helm of Cricket West Indies, Dave Cameron says he has the full support of the territorial cricket boards. The embattled president was re-elected unopposed earlier this month amid strained relations with several players. Speaking in a recent interview while in Trinidad and Tobago, the Jamaican said despite the challenges, the board has been given a passing grade.
He is seen as a pariah by some in his role as president of the West Indies Cricket Board. But since his election to the office just over 2 years ago, there has been a financial turnaround, the likes of which has not been seen by the board in decades. The West Indies cricketing public is accustomed to a level of high performance, starting from the very first World Cup win in 1975 through the 90s. But despite a black hole during the mid-90s and early 2000s, the 6 territorial boards, with their 12 votes, are confident that Cameron has West Indies cricket at heart.
For a long, very, very long time, we've had bad performances. So the noise will continue until we get back to the top. And even when we're at the top, we're always going to have challenges because Jamaica wants all of its players playing, Trinidad wants all of its players playing, and Barbados, and so on and so forth. So we understand that. But again, you know, the 6 territories, the 6 shareholders have been saying to us that we're on the right path. They're happy with the franchise system. They like some more resources, but you know, like everything else, over time we'll make that better.
2016 was perhaps the most successful year in West Indies cricket history, with the under-19s, women's and men's teams all winning their respective World Cup titles. Cameron credits this success to all parties involved in West Indies cricket, from the players to WICB office staff, and the close relationship between the WICB and WIPA.
I think we've been very, very lucky to have had a leader in Wavell Hines, because without him we would not have the stability we've had in the last couple of years to be able to put the programs in place to achieve 3 world titles and get back to some sort of profitability. We expect this year to actually be a better year, but next year is a very challenging one. And so we have a 4-year rolling cycle which ends next year. And so if we can actually come out of next year with a reasonable surplus, then we would have completed a cycle very, very well. And then the next 4 years looks quite good.
The WICB president is pleased with the caliber of cricket currently being played in the regional Super 50 tournament, saying the increased number of matches has allowed the players to hone their talents. The West Indies Cricket Board is standing by its core principles of respect, discipline, integrity and accountability in developing and growing the regional game.
We have certain core principles at the West Indies Cricket Board that we want to live. And if we can live those, then I think the finances will take care of itself and the performances will take care of itself. And so where I'd like to go is finances is not the focus. The focus is around performance. Focus around building something that is representative of us as a region. And if we do that, then I think the finances will take care of itself. And that's what the conversation we're trying to have with our players. You know, our core values are respect, discipline, integrity, accountability. Those principles, and you'd have seen in the past that we've made certain stances on that. And that's what we want to do. We want to build a very, very strong brand that represents us all as a people.
And that report was from Nasira Mohammed of C Sport. WICB Presidents 11 on Monday suffered their second straight defeat against England, this time by 2 wickets. Batting first in the 50 overs clash, the Presidents 11 were restricted to 233 in 48 overs. The bulk of the West Indies runs came from the middle order batsmen. Antiguan wicketkeeper batsman Jamar Hamilton top scored with 73, while Rakeem Cornwall added 59 and Kyle Mayers chipped in with 33. Right-arm fast bowler Liam Plunkett and pacer Ben Stokes picked up 3 wickets each. In reply, England got past the total with an over to spare. At 132-run partnership between opening batsman Johnny Bairstow and Joe Root helped England set up a solid foundation. Bairstow scored a blistering 86 from 97 balls, while Root added 46 for the 4th wicket. Chris Woakes remained unbeaten on 47, while tail-ender Plunkett had an unbeaten knock of 12 runs. Guyanese medium pacer Ransford Beaton, along with Jamaican off-spinner Damian Jacobs and Andre McCarthy, picked up 2 wickets each. Meantime, Chadwick Walton said he was delighted with his second List A 100, especially since it came against an international side. The West Indies batsman plundered a career-best 121 off 109 balls at Warren Park as the UWI Vice-Chancellor's 11 slumped to 117-run defeat to England in a tour match in Bastille on Saturday.
I would say this one is very special. It's coming off the back of my first List A 100 and getting one against an international side in England. I mean, I must say I'm really pleased. Well, I just went out there and decided that I was going to try and maximize on the overs, so I guess it paid off today.
Only 11 days ago, the Jamaican hit his maiden List A 100 117 against Trinidad and Tobago Red Force in the semi-final of the regional Super 50 at the Coolidge Cricket Ground in Antigua. He finished the tournament with 350 runs at an average of 35 as Jamaica Scorpions reached the final before losing to eventual champions Barbados Pride. Walton, who last represented West Indies in the T20 series against Pakistan and United Arab Emirates last September, said the innings had also been about assessing his development. And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the colour of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
Again, the major developments of this day. Barbados' Finance Minister Chris Sinclair seeks to assure that the country's dollar is not in danger of devaluation despite widespread concerns about the state of the economy. And in sport, Cricket West Indies President Dave Cameron says he has the full support of the territorial cricket boards. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to CarnaNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good night.